And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers, geezers, geeks alike, it's this week's Monkey Nut Punch podcast. And I've got Keith with me. Hello, Keith.
I'm more happy about it. Hello.
Yes. And I watched Into the Spider-Verse this week, so we can talk about that. And Keith watched Into the Spider-Verse. The difference between me and Keith is Keith calico jacked it, I think is the best way of describing it.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. Unfortunately, couldn't make it to the cinema for numerous reasons this week. But I will be going next Saturday. That I will be doing. That is already booked. Yes, I will be going next Saturday. But yes, I saw Into the Spider-Verse as well. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about some other Spider-Man things. So we can talk about, go back and talk about how we feel about Sam Raimi's trilogy, Andrew Garfield, the Disney Spider-Man, Sony Spider-Man, maybe a bit of Venom, maybe some of the games that we've played, some of the games that are coming up, some of the comics. But yes, we'll talk about Spider-Man this week. So, without further ado, let's get into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, or Cross the Spider-Verse. Wasn't it called, isn't this one Across the
Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Into the Spider-Verse sounded quite...
Well, that was the first one. It was very long. It was very long. And I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, but no, that's a lie. Once it started getting going, like the last half an hour, 45 minutes, I really, really did enjoy, like as much as the first one. But there was so much setup going on. But the cameos and the all the bits in there, like, they got a Venom nod in there from the Venom movies. They got a Disney Marvel MCU nod with the uncle played by Donald Glover. And then you had you even got like the Sam Raimi nod because you heard that version of Doc Ock going, the power and the power of the sun in my hands. There were lots of little clicks and nods and Easter eggs in there that I really liked. And there was like comic Easter eggs, cartoon Easter eggs. Shit, there was a lot of the cartoon Easter eggs in there. Loved it. I loved all of that. I know there's going to be bits that bugged you. So do you want to get into that one?
God. Okay, so overall, I like the film. Overall, I have reached the conclusion that I think I would prefer Miles Morales as his own character, the Huntsman Spider, something other than trying to be Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't like that substitution. I think he's worthy of a character to himself. That's the first thing.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, because he's not Spider-Man. Yeah, and he's not Spider-Man because everyone refers to him as Miles Morales. So that's my first thing, because I was watching it thinking, God, how good would this be if Spider-Man was in this? And then I've got some issues. So the Jessica Drew character, Jessica Drew. So I couldn't stand her. We'll go into that in more details. The Peter B. Parker one, he was nerfed, clearly nerfed on purpose. So I'm not too enamored with what they did to him. And then there's the big contrivance, the really super big contrivance for the entire thing with the Spider People or the Spider-Men not willing to change. If they could go back and they could change it, they'd all go back and change it. Yeah, the whole canon thing. If it was just Miguel O'Hara on his own, would make perfect sense, but it's not. Yeah, they'd all go back and save. They'd all go back and save Uncle Ben, all of them.
Yes.
The only way that they wouldn't save Uncle Ben is if Uncle Ben turns around and goes, "No, don't save me." If this means changing this, that's the only thing. I think they've already done that as a story. And that was probably the biggest problem.
Would they save Uncle Ben if it meant not saving millions of people? Because the whole point of the character of Spider-Man is he makes sacrifices. So,
but he'd go back and try. He would go back and try and do both. And you know that. He would give it a try.
I'm not sure I had as big a problem with that, because I think I kind of understood. And the reason I didn't is because at the end, they do realise, and then you get the team up. And not all of them went along with it. And some of them reluctantly went along with it. And I understand what you mean about Peter, the you know the mentor Peter in this. They had grounded him a bit, but again, father of a daughter.
No, no. Peter Parker, a very responsible person, wouldn't bring his kid out. Wouldn't bring his kid out.
Would all versions of that though? I mean, this
Yes.
isn't our version of Peter Parker. This was a very different sort of beaten up.
A majority,
established-
80% of all the Peter Parkers in that universe wouldn't.
But they did establish. I mean, the biggest criticism of the first one was that they established him as a bit washed out, a bit sort of didn't give a shit, not your average Peter Parker, which in the context of that story did kind of work. So, but I know what you're saying. You want the real Peter Parker, and that I get. And you don't have that at all, really, in this movie. There is no Spider-Man. There's hints of him. You hear him. But there is no Spider-Man in this. But this is...
It's Spider-Man 3, as far as I'm concerned. The Miguel O'Hara 2099 Spider-Man, I think they did a good job on.
Yeah.
I think they really did a good job on that character, because he's a bit more... If Batman was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Yep. So I think that they got that character right. So they've got that sorted. But it's...
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
that I see what you mean by Miles Morales, though, not being Spider-Man, being a different kind of spider something.
He's not Spider-Man. That's it.
I get what
just
you
not
mean,
Spider-Man.
but I like the character. That's the problem. So, but you're right that
he does
calling him
deserve his own
something
character.
different. Yeah,
It's like having Robin as Batman. Robin joins Batman, and he's called Batman.
Yeah, I get you.
He deserves. His story's well written. It's put together quite thing. He deserves his own character instead of being a derivative. Because and I just think that should be, and that kind of bugs me, because I was watching the film, and every so often in my brain would go, God, wouldn't this be better with actual Peter Parker, actual Spider-Man? God, how good would this be with that? The problem is the moment you introduce Peter Parker, everyone forgets about Miles Morales. Everyone does. They're not interested in him as soon as he turns up, and that's the truth. And you know it, and I know it.
I don't know, because I kind of like their interactions in the game. And the character of Miles in the game is strong enough to coincide with Peter, but they both have a shared tragedy there. And one lost his father, one lost his uncle, and that dynamic works in the games so far. Spider-Man 2 is yet to see how that continues, and they said a few things I didn't like in the game announcement this week. But
we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one.
And I know you're going to have picked up on exactly the same thing I picked up on. It made me cringe. But I genuinely like the character of Miles in the first Into the Spider-Verse. And again, I liked him in this. I like the character. I find him funny at times. I think he has...
Yeah, but the other thing too is I'm just going to point out that you're under the impression that Miles Morales was around for ages and you didn't know he was around since 2011. That's my first thing. So you were sitting there thinking, oh, he's been around for ages, but where he hadn't. He was, as I said, he's patient zero for the race swapping. It's nonsense.
But I like but this character has enough of a rich background to be a character, to be a character in his own right. And I think he's earned that, whereas a lot of these race swapped characters haven't. And they did a reasonably good job with Spider-Gwen as well.
That's character, right? So Into the Spider-Verse is the only version of Spider-Gwen that I actually like. I don't. I couldn't give a monkeys about the others.
No, I don't. I don't like the comic version or the cartoon version, but this version of Spider-Gwen I kind of like. I don't know. I know what you're saying, and actually you're probably right that he should not be a derivative of Spider-Man. That he should be his character in the same right, but share something with the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, no, he should be like his Robin, or something along those lines. Yeah, and he should be the one that if Spider-Man disappears, he puts the costume on and pretends to be him. Yeah, that's who he should be. Yeah, you've had three Robins and none of them were called Batman.
But
Okay,
that would
maybe Dick
imply.
Grayson when he was
Do
Nightwing
you do you,
pretended to be, but
do
move on.
you not think he's Peter's equal then? You think he is a
No, I don't. I
sidekick rather than
do
an
not.
equal?
But he's not. No way. He's Peter's equal.
Hmm.
Absolutely not. I can say that he's not Peter's equal. He's
No, I
close.
think you're
The
probably
closest
right that he
relationship
hasn't.
the closest I can get to is Robin. Yeah, he's the closest character I can get to. When I think about him, I'm trying to think what kind of character is he, and he's closer to being the Robin than that. Doesn't mean I didn't like watching Into the Spider Verse because I did watch it. I did enjoy it. Needed 30 minutes cut out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first
Mm.
bit with Gwen Stacy, where it went on for 20 minutes, was unless you just can give me Gwen Stacy for the entire thing, cut that down to 5.
Yeah.
It was good. They set her up right. They gave her her cue the music, save the day theme, which I thought was really
Mm.
good. Never heard it again because it's not a Gwen Stacy film. It's a Miles Morales film. Watching that, it was like, okay, fair enough. The one thing that people have said, which I kind of agree with, is the fact that no one told you it was what do you call it? No one
Part
told
one.
you that it was a two-parter.
Yeah.
That was I can understand why a lot of people did it, and they kind of ended it. They kind of ended it in the wrong place. It was because he got into the universe, and it wasn't a case of the story ended when he escaped all the other spider people. Yeah, and then we got to see his Prowler variant. Spoiler warnings in the other universe. Yeah,
Mm.
and that caused made me go because it carried. I went to the toilet at that bit because I was like, oh, it slowed right down. Because it came in, slowed right down. Again, a pair of scissors could have sorted that out, and you could have made it appear a better ending with some editing.
I totally agree that it was too long. I think the start was way too long. You could have cut Gwen's and still had the same effect down to about 5 minutes. And then you could have understood her thing. I did like her making up with her dad. Again, it did not follow the trope of bad dad. It followed the trope of human dad. And I liked that. I like Miles. Don't get me wrong. I love Peter Parker, but I like Miles. I do. I like the character. I like the background. I like both what the game has created and these movies have created. And I still argue, and I know you're going to disagree with this, but this is why I don't agree with all this fucking, and why I call all this bullshit in Hollywood fake. Because, my Sony and MCU wanted to do a team up. They could have done Miles Morales movie if they believed in all this diversity crap. They knew damn well it wasn't going to make us much money when they cared about that, which obviously they don't anymore. But they could have done. And, if they believed in what all this horseshit they were saying, they would have done a Miles Morales movie. And it might have been good. But then we wouldn't have got the amazing Spider-Man 3, which I just fucking love that movie every time I watch it. I enjoyed it, but it was too long. It is not as good as the first one, but I liked that money shot at the end where you get the original team back, Spider Pork in there,
That was something
Spider Noir.
I'll be honest with you, that didn't knock me until the end. We didn't get to revisit those characters. I wasn't that bothered. Yeah, but it knocked me right at the end. Yeah.
Love the fact they got J.K. Simmons back as Jane Jonah Jameson throughout that.
Yes.
All of that was J.K. Simmons, fucking brilliant. There was a lot of wonderful Easter eggs in there if you bothered to look. And there was a lot of, if you're a Spider-Man fan, if you've collected the comics, if you watched the cartoons, there was something in there for every format that people have consumed Spider-Man in, be it the comics, be it the games. I mean, you had the game Spider-Man in there with his voice. Fucking brilliant. He was there. I love that.
See,
I love
part of me that kind of knocked a little.
Why?
Because it's key jangling nonsense. It was like Ready Player One with key jangling nonsense. But look at this stuff. Look at this stuff. It feels like a distraction. Admittedly, the film's done a lot better than Ready Player One and all that stuff, yeah? But it still felt like someone was someone was doing that to distract from something else, if that makes any sense. So that always makes me. I'm always suspicious when you're sitting there and you're putting lots of callbacks in, yeah, because it feels like cynical. Cause especially when it's not focused on properly, it's not dealt with properly. It feels like it's a distraction, and I'm always suspect of that. If that makes any sense. So it's like, because part of me is, if you could remove all of those spider people and just have Miguel, Gwen, Peter B. Parker, another spider person in there. You could just literally have 5 of them in there. They didn't need that in there. They didn't contribute anything to the story apart from the denigration of Spider-Man. Yeah? Because it was a Spider-Man film without Spider-Man in it. They literally picked everyone who wasn't Spider-Man. And that's the part of me who's like, because it still work. You could still make it work. They only wanted it so they could have the chase through there, which they put in the adverts, with all the spider people chasing them. Miguel O'Hara was a good enough antagonist to do that on his own. He really was a good enough antagonist to do that on his own. You didn't need all those other spider people there. Seriously. Also makes everything kind of seem a bit weird because, again, when it comes down to the canon events, which is the one that kind of grated on me more than anything else, if it was just them, and then Miguel tries chasing him down, and it was just them two getting chased down, make more sense. But as soon as you put it in there, it's because you want to have all the quirky throwbacks and stuff, and it's like, kind of, oh look, in this scene I've got da 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 da, and it's like a complete distraction from telling the story clear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I blame Ready Player One.
No,
seriously, blame Ready Player One for that.
I enjoy them, but I also completely understand why you didn't, because you go in you're more of a writer than I am, so you see it from a different perspective, and I get that. I understand that, and I respect that. I enjoyed it. I need to watch it again, and I probably will see more of what you saw in it. And you are right. The one character that was missing was a normal version of Peter Parker, which is kind of odd. I'll give you that. And they could have done that.
If you'd had Andrew Garfield play Peter Parker, that would have. I did like one thing. There was a call out when Miguel O'Hara is going on about people fucking with the multiverse, and he goes back to Doctor Strange, and he had to go at Doctor Strange and Parker in that one. I appreciated that. That made me smile. That was a little cynical, but he referred to it correctly as Earth 9 with 4 or 5 nines at the end, which is the correct one. So he had that. As I said, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just that I felt that they kind of balked a few things, and it's annoying because the Gwen Stacy. I did like the Gwen Stacy bit at the beginning, and I would have preferred it if you'd have done that bit at the beginning and just had Gwen Stacy all the way through the film. And it could have been Across the Spider-Verse starring Gwen Stacy or Spider Gwen or whatever you call it. That would have been fine. I could have lived with that. Just good enough. I believe she was a good enough character.
She was. Yeah. Yeah, and they didn't follow the Hollywood tropes that she was amazing and so awesome that she fucked up. Yeah, no, I get it. What annoyed me was that it was not. I love that first one. That first movie was genuinely great, heartfelt movie, great characterization, great writing, action all the way through. And yes, okay, it did a few things like gender swapping. Doc Ock and a few other things like that, but it worked in the context of the movie, and I think it was done in the right way. If you're going to do this, you do it right. This second movie was way too long. It did drag in places. It is the only version of Spider-Gwen that I like, and she was good in this. I could have done with more of Miles in not there was just too much setup. And it didn't actually go anywhere. So, yeah, I get it. You could have cut out all of these member berry things that you think, and it could have condensed down the movie. But I liked seeing some of those callbacks. But that's because I love Spider-Man. So, but in the context of the story, you're probably right. And I can see why it knocked you.
Yeah, because it's... So, right. My 2 biggest problem characters were Peter B. Parker. And Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, whatever her name was.
Is that the pregnant one that's on the bike? Yeah,
So
she
let's just
annoys me.
summarize how Jessica Drew enters the thingy. So Miguel O'Hara says, "Oh, I'm having trouble beating the Vulture in the Guggenheim Museum in Spider Gwen's universe." Yeah. So she turns up on a bike. What's so much? Spider Gwen goes, "Oh, you're so amazing!" Yeah. And then she proceeds to do nothing.
Hmm.
Watch it back. She does
No, you're
nothing.
right.
The only thing she
Well,
does, yeah, is help out with the helicopter bit. But Gwen had that covered already.
she annoys me. Is what she does in that film. She's just an annoying thing. Yeah.
She turned up and she ace rimmered it, yeah? She was like, oh my god, he's amazing. And did fuck all, unlike Ace Rimmer can do stuff. Yeah? Oh, aren't you amazing? Do something amazing. And then we'll talk about amazing. It's not like in, I think what's the film? The Incredibles, yeah? So you've got the kid outside, the neighbour's kid, who's got a little plastic bike thing, yeah? And he sees Mr. Incredible smash the car up and lift it up over his head, yeah? And it's like, wow, yeah? And the reason goes, that's amazing, yeah, because that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got on my tits because she was so superfluous. Because the other
Yes.
thing too is one race swapped, yeah, so it's not a white person who lived next door to the High Evolutionary. If I remember Spider Woman's story, because she lived next to High Evolutionary, got sick, and then got some Spider Gwen stuff from that. And the fact that she was pregnant too, she should have been the one back in the control room, phoning up, doing all the calls, sorting all the shit out. That got on my tits. I don't think she has any powers though, because I think there were two Spider Women in the 80s. There was one who was Jessica Drew, again neighbour of the High Evolutionary, and there was another one who was a secretary who stole Spider-Man's costume and web shooters and fought crime. Kind of feels like that second one because she's going around on a motorcycle.
That's true.
And so I'm like,
That's
how's she got
true.
superpowers? Is that going to be the twist at the end? She's got no superpowers.
She was irritating. I have to admit. Yeah, you're right. She was.
She needed to go. Sorry,
Yeah.
she was a character that was completely didn't require it. You could have had the proper Jessica Drew in there, who had got her powers from living next door to the High Evolutionary. So that was that. I've complained a lot. I did like the film. That's the funny thing. I'm complaining a lot, but I did enjoy the film. It was just, I think it's probably because it's when I step back at it, there's so many things you could do just to make it better without cocking things up. So you've got that. Again, Miles and his family bit. I understand why they put that in there because they want some stakes and whatnot. But again, pair of scissors, you could have sorted that out with.
There was a couple of bits that went on a bit too long with the mum. But again, I liked the family bit. There has to be stakes in there. I don't know if they're going to kill his dad because they've already done the tragedy by killing off the original Prowler, which is not what they did in the original story. They killed off the father, and they did that in the game. But here in the original, the Into Spider-Verse, they killed off the uncle.
I think he should save his father, but his mother should get killed, so that the universe balances itself out. And he's like, oh shit.
I think like something's going to happen. I mean, I'm hoping that the third movie is a bit more concise, but we've got the original team back. And I think the third one's going to be more fun, I suspect. But I think it is going to have that tragic moment. But then it's a Spider-Man movie. You kind of need it.
Spider-Man's story is kind of steeped in tragedy of sorts.
And sacrifice. I understand. I completely agree that now that you've actually vocalized it, that Miles deserves his own persona, if you like, his own superhero character. But I understand why he's called Spider-Man. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you. But now that you vocalized it, I think you're right, actually. He probably does deserve his own...
Because we keep calling him Miles Morales and not Spider-Man. We do it automatically without thinking. You call him Miles Morales, you don't call him Spider-Man because you know there's a clear difference between the two of them.
Oh,
and it's kind of what do you call it? It's kind of rude towards the character at the same time too, and it does feel like second-hand clothes. If that makes any sense, rather than him having a nice fresh set of clothes.
Yeah, no, you vocalized it correctly. I think I agree with what you're saying. I think and now that you've said it, it is beginning to bother me more.
Sorry, I've ruined it for you.
No, you haven't. because I like the character. I like the character. You haven't ruined it. But I think you're right. It's one of those occasions where actually I'm changing my mind, and I think I agree with you. In the context of the film, definitely. In context of the game, but the game character's different. But
Right, the game. Right, so the thing with the game character is he's nerdy like Peter Parker's nerdy. Yep. So having that nerd level kind of fits. He's less nerdy in this.
Yeah.
He's more like street artist sort of thing, which kind of grates on me a little. So it's one of those things. So I'm trying to trying to sort it out in my head. Why it kind of bugs me, because the first thing is I'm watching that and I'm going, I'd really like to see Spider-Man. That's the thing. I spent all the film going, God, wouldn't it be better if Spider-Man turned up? One thing I did like was there's a villain that me and my brother Alex really enjoy. A character called the Spot. We always felt it was quite underutilized because we watched him in the cartoon as a kid. It was only ever in it for one episode. He could have solved a lot of problems going further down with people jumping through universes and stuff. And we always agreed that he was never treated the way he should do, and this film treated him the way he should do, because he's the kind of guy who could like split the planet in half if he tried. Yeah. And they treated him like that in this, which I thought I really enjoyed, because it was always a thing. It's like, kind of, would you want the ability to teleport anywhere or open portals? And it's like, well, if you open portals, you can get more use out of opening portals. Yeah. And that was always kind of the weird kind of argument. But Spot was good. It was great because when he got superpowered, he disappeared, which made you worry. Like, what's he up to? Where's he going? Is he recruiting people? Blah blah blah. All this stuff. And that was good.
Look, I mean, look, it's the best Marvel film of the year. Well, maybe. I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3, so I can't comment. I will see that. But it had problems, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't choke full of the same shit that a lot of Marvel movies are now choke full of, which I'll give it. I liked Spot as well, and I remember Spot, or the Spot, and I liked how he started off as kind of a comedic character, but by the middle of it, you go, oh, whoa, this guy's actually capable of fucking up a lot of shit. So you go, oh, this guy, this comedy persona is actually hiding something that's kind of very, very dangerous. So, and I liked that. They did that well. So no, I can hear that through your. I have that.
You can hear that. I can close the window. Thunder's come up. The thunder and lightning's come early.
I can definitely hear that. So no, look, it wasn't as bad as I mean, it was good. It wasn't as good as some people have said it was. It wasn't as bad as some people have said it was. I'm kind of on the middle of it. But let's talk about the game briefly, because they've released a cover. The cover alone sort of gives me hope that it isn't just a Miles, that it is Spider-Man 2, and the 2 is 2, I know, Spider-Man in this. But then they said something in that thing. We wanted to tell our own story, or that, that usual Hollywood can ride bullshit of, we're going to ignore everything and just
modern
do it
audiences.
Yeah.
We want it for modern audiences.
That worried me, because modern Hollywood's version of a modern audience doesn't exist, or it's so fucking minute that you can't make any money of it. But for some reason, they still make money. Focus on these people, and everybody else, you're a racist. Apparently, 90% of the people that went to see the Little Mermaid are complete racists. If you listen to the media at the moment. Anyway, what do you think? I mean, what do you think of what you saw? Are you still concerned about?
My concern is that we would get more Miles Morales than we would Peter Parker. Yeah, that's the that we were getting it. They were doing what they did in Metal Gear Solid 2 with Raiden and doing a swap out. That was my concern because of the diversity. Um, so that bugged me because I want Spider-Man in my Spider-Man game. You can have him in there, but he has to be Robin to Peter Parker's Batman. And then my biggest concern is they came out and they said Eddie Brock isn't Venom.
Yes, they're
That
telling their own
got me.
version
Made me
of.
go,
They're telling their
which
own
means
version of
it's
Venom.
not. It's Harry Osborn, and Harry Osborn as Venom was shit. Sorry, there's no two ways about it. Every time I've seen him in there, be it the cartoon or the try and redo with the comic books and stuff, he was shit. Sorry, it's doesn't work. So that got my goat a bit in regards to
It does worry me because all this shit is now really infecting gaming in a big way. It semi-infected the Star Wars Jedi Survivor game. It definitely invaded Horizon Forbidden West. Fuck.
Oh my god, it's
Yeah,
so intersectional that game.
yeah,
I've completed it, and all the horrible crap that I don't like is right at the beginning of the game, and it disappears towards the end of the game, which I really
yes,
appreciate. It's like great,
yeah.
I will live with that. That's fine. But still, it's
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, it's not good. That got on my
Gratefully, it
tits.
hasn't affected Zelda. There's none of that in Zelda, and
Not yet.
um,
Not yet. Give it a while because now it's making money. All those people who like to enforce this stuff will start looking at it, and
yeah. Look,
Zelda will rescue
what
herself.
was it? TTD in this game was quite quick. Time to dick. I love that term. Um, somebody's already built a robot with a hydrant as a dick.
Oh dear.
I'm loving that game. I am absolutely I am lost in that game. I've probably done about 50 hours already. Fuck knows where I've managed to do that, but I've done about 50 hours already, and I'm barely into it. And I'm loving it. And the creativity of it. The thing is, you just get lost building contraptions. You just get lost in doing that. And because the map is like over twice as big as Breath of the Wild, it just takes so much longer. It's awesome. Anyway, back to Spider-Man. Yeah, look, I think Spider-Man 3, the third film of this, has potential to be good. And we don't have to wait that long. It's out in March next year, which I think is actually longer than it should be. It should be out for Christmas, really.
Yes.
That would be a good Christmas movie. Don't understand why they're holding it off till March, but okay. As we are talking about this, Spider-Man 4, I think we've mentioned it has definitely been confirmed. Holland is back, but there's a few things going on there, isn't there, that they've mentioned.
So I don't.
There,
So you're
well,
gonna
there's
have
rumors
to.
that they are bringing Miles Morales in. That is the rumor. So
Okay.
don't know. I've heard some rumors I read this week.
I know that the actor is desperate to play Miles Morales live action, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. If I was doing the voice and I looked roughly like the character, I'd sit there and go, I'm a shoo-in. Problem is his age, because he's not a spring chicken, shall we say? Yeah.
But no, I think there's a few people that have that are rumored, but nothing there. But I'm kind of glad that Holland's coming back. I think Spider-Man 3 did a lot of fixing. My concern is that Disney will interject a lot of shit now because they just seem hell bent on destroying it. They just don't seem to want to. I don't know. I mean, there is a rumor going around that Disney are in much worse financial trouble that they're even aware of, and that they might be forced to sell off Marvel and things like Star Wars. Well, would you buy Star Wars in the state it's in now?
Who was I speaking to? I was speaking to Alex about this, how you would cram Star Wars into a Spider-Man conversation.
No,
It,
sorry.
right, so it goes like this. The rumor comes from Cameron Prasher and from Doomcock, which has the fucking how can I put it? The reliability of an old Ford Cortina.
I I
So I
knew.
don't believe that. I don't believe that shit for a start. And the reason I don't believe that shit for a start is that Kathleen Kennedy's still doing her fucking job.
True.
But it's it would be. There's a certain irony that I think everyone would enjoy if they said, right, hang on a second. Oh my God, I was going to say Steve Lucas, George Lucas, Steve Lucas, plummet on the end of my road. George Lucas buys back Star Wars for say $1 billion. Yeah, he just buys it back for $1 billion, and you know what the best thing you could do with it? Just vaults it and says, "That's it. Nope, no more. Nothing else is ever getting made now. It's just locked up, done, dusted." Yeah, the kids when they reach age 21, they might be able to do something with it, but until that point, no. And then you can leave it well alone,
I mean,
which he might
yeah.
do.
I mean, the thing is, we've got, isn't it? What's his face? Strange New World starting. Is it next week? I've heard bad things about that as well. I knew I was going to be right about this. I guarantee you, 2-3 episodes in, the people who go, "I love Strange New Worlds," are going to go, "Oh well, actually, that sort of what do you call it? That shield that they have, those rose tinted glasses that
Yes.
you have accused me of wearing on more than one occasion, which is probably true. I think those rose tinted glasses are well and truly burst for a lot of people. I've heard
I
the
think I
podcast
can't.
guys comments on it, and I'm going, yep, see, rose tinted glasses burst. You don't like it. You one of you is trying to find nice things about it, the other one's just saying, no, it's shit, and you're gonna hate it. And I was like, yeah, I know, because I've seen that trailer and gone, why did I like this? Oh, I liked it because this was better than any of the other shit on. Then you gave me actual.
Star Trek, and his signal dropped out for a second there. There
Now
we
that
go.
you've given me actual Star Trek, I want Star Trek. I don't want this quasi fucked up glossy shit. I want Star Trek, even if it's low budget. I want Star Trek. And look, the petition is increasing, still in the Nielsen thing. If they don't do something, if they capital now, right? Paramount deserves to burn. I already think Disney deserves to burn. Paramount deserves to burn as well. And you know, they can all sort of wallow in their their own ashes, and there won't be any phoenixes, believe me. But yeah, anyway, that was the only bit of news that I saw this week. Go on, let's talk about let's go back to Spider-Man. What do you want to talk about? Because I realised that my 50-year-old Spider-Man comics that I've got, the variant covers, they're worth quite a lot of money now. That's kind of good.
Dude, I've got an original Halo 1 Master Chief figure up in my attic.
Wasn't that the one you got from EA? EB?
Yes.
Or you bastard. I remember that one.
Yeah.
I remember
that's
that
the
one.
one I got. I didn't pay anything for. So I
No, I know.
It's probably about 90 quid at the moment. So I'll keep hold of it for another years. But I've had it for like over 20 years now, which I find mad. So going back to Spider-Man. So it's like kind of. Do you remember the Spider-Man cartoon, the 90s cartoon, with the guy from Aerosmith who did the music? That was the best Spider-Man cartoon that ever made it to TV. It had so much stuff in there. The guy Tim Wren said had so much freedom in order to import like characters and bits. It was amazing. You had Blade was in there, which was fantastic. X-Men were in there. Oh,
Yeah,
God,
X-Men
they had the X-Men
crossover.
crossover. You had Captain America in there. And it just reminded me of something because there's always the joke about if Batman's got enough prep time, he can beat anyone, yeah? And do you know what the funny thing is? That's the same for Spider-Man. The difference is that Spider-Man doesn't need millions of dollars to do it. He'll just beg, borrow, and steal in order to complete said task and beat said person.
And he has
So,
he has a lot of friends because he is Spider-Man and not some brooding fucking loner like Batman is. Spider-Man is not the brooding loner. Spider-Man has friends. Yeah, the 90s Spider-Man cartoon was the best version of Spider, and actually, arguably, that's what got me into Spider-Man. You know, I watched the cartoon before I started collecting the comics. I went back and read all the fucking comics. JMS is very controversial ish, you know, sort of stint at the Spider-Man comics, and I kind of like them. And I've got them all in companion volume print, but I've got them all. And I think he did a good job. I stopped collecting Spider-Man when it went stupid. When they kind of put him into, or put Doc Ock into him and killed off Peter Parker for a year. That was ridiculous.
yes, I think I remember you telling me because you were like, you came and had a moan at me to turn around and
Yeah.
say, no, shit needs to stop.
Yeah, that's when I stopped collecting them for a while. But I've got a lot of Spider-Man comics. I mean, I have got a lot of Spider-Man comics. Spider-Man is even easily my favorite Marvel character. He's probably my favorite superhero.
I think it was always a toss-up between who's the two greatest heroes, and it's between Spider-Man and Batman.
Yeah, and
Depending on which one it is, it's Spider-Man and Batman. I personally, I'm bigger fan of Spider-Man than I am Batman. It's probably because it sounds weird to say that Spider-Man doesn't seem so fanciful, if that makes any sense. Even though he has got superhero powers, it seems a bit more grounded than Spider-Man. How does that work? It's a real dumb way of describing it.
No, but I know what you're trying to say. I mean, my connection to Batman is longer than is Spider-Man, because I remember, you know, as a young kid watching 60s Batman on TV with my dad.
Oh my god, no! I
And
hate
you oh yeah, but you and I were going to do a funny video where we replaced like the splat words with like slight innuendo, which was already in there in the 60s. But I liked the 60s Batman for what it was. And if you go back and watch it, some of it's actually quite clever. Yeah, it is what it is.
that weird onomatopoeia stuff that they had.
Yes, there was some strange stuff in there. But I remember watching it as a dad, with my dad, so I have some really good memories of that. And then obviously 1989, the first 15 movie I ever watched was Michael Keaton's Batman, and just go, what the fuck is this? This is totally different. This is not the Batman. And yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the 89 thing. Kind of brought it back down to that. Remember Japanese Spider-Man?
Yes.
Kinda.
Yes, Biffa. I do remember Japanese Spider-Man. There was an entire Japanese Spider-Man TV series set in Tokyo, and it is Power Rangers meet Spider-Man in a really weird and only kind of unique Japanese way. There's moments of it that are kind of awesome, but it is very Japanese. Although I would argue the first Sam Raimi fucking movie looks like an episode of bloody Power Rangers.
It's only because of the mask. Seriously, as soon as you get rid of that mask, it all goes away.
Yeah, which they did in Spider-Man 3, the Marvel one. And by God, how can you cover up that face? How? I mean, that guy is the fucking Goblin. He's got the eyes, the face. How do you cover? Who made that fucking decision? Because they should be taken out and beaten for being so stupid. I mean, how do you make that decision? How do you cover up that face when that face is the Goblin?
Or just paint it green. Paint it green.
You could have, you could have painted him green, stuck yellow bloody contacts in, Bob Goblin.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I like the fact that Spider-Man 3, Sony, Marvel, Disney, Spider-Man 3, Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3 fixed all those problems. And again, I go back and watch that movie. we were robbed of Andrew Garfield's third movie. I know you don't like him as Peter Parker, but I fucking love him as Spider-Man. And
Yeah, he's good as
actually,
Spider-Man,
the
but no
bit where
Peter
he
Parker.
takes off that mask and he saves MJ. I'm sorry, that gets me every fucking time. That gets me. It gets the more, and I get more emotional every time I see it. I want. You're right. We should have had Andrew Garfield's. And you are absolutely on the money. That's what was missing from that film. We should have had an Andrew Garfield cameo in Across the Spider-Verse. That would have, yeah. You're bang on the money. The more I think about it, the more you're right. The more. My God, I'm agreeing with you too much this week, yeah.
You are. I'm worried about you. I'm deeply concerned, Keith.
But you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I love that movie. It's now my favorite Spider-Man movie. It is. And I've watched it time and time again because they did everything I wanted to do. They brought J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson in a genius way. Right. And I love how he is like, the conspiracy theory's gone legit. And I loved that. They should have put a wig on him though. I'm sorry. The only thing that didn't work is I love you, JK, but you should have had the wig. You should have looked more like the comic book version. That's the only criticism I have. But I like where it ended. I like the fact that they put Peter back on the streets, living on his own. And I hope that they explore that in the fourth movie. I hope we just don't get MJ immediately back like that. I hope we don't get his mate immediately back like that. We need to see that side of Peter. And I hope that by the end of it he does, but we need that side of it. But that movie makes me like Tom Holland's Spider-Man more than I did before, and actually it makes me enjoy the other two movies less. Which is yeah. So, yeah.
So when it comes, I had Spider-Man was my daily comic that my mum would get, which I'd have delivered by the post boy or the paper boy, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it's and I remember that, and I remember the big one was who was the Hobgoblin.
Yes.
Because Ned in the comics is the Hobgoblin.
Yes.
And also some fashion designer too is also the Hobgoblin. So we've got lots of things with us. I don't know if we're having some issues technically wise.
I think, you see, now if they're clever, they might do that in the fourth movie. They might turn Ned into the bad guy now that he doesn't remember. They could send Ned down that route. And that would be an interesting one. That would be that there could be a tragedy that he has to kill Ned, but he gets MJ. That might be what happens. And I like this version of Ned. I do like this version of Ned. But if you're gonna do it, do it. But this Ned's got magic, so he could play a magical version of the Hobgoblin, and it might work.
Yeah.
It could work. They definitely hinted at that throughout the third movie. They definitely did drop those hints. But I mean, my fear of the fourth movie is the reason that the third movie works so well is because of the three of them at the end and that relationship between the three of them. And that's what really makes it. Yeah, I like the fact that they fixed the Goblin. I like the fact that Doc Ock starts off nasty, but again is redeemed by the end of it. And Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is still the best Spider-Man bad guy throughout all of the films, because he was a proper three-dimensional bad guy. I like that. And yeah, I mean, okay, we had some of the bad guys from Andrew Garfield's turn but they weren't the ones that meant something. It was the Tobey Maguire bad guys, Sam Raimi's Goblin and Doc Ock that made that. I know you had to have Andrew Garfield's bad guys in there to bring Andrew Garfield in, but to this day, even when we were hearing all the rumors, I didn't. There was still a voice in my head. They're not going to do this. They're not actually going to bring this together. They're not. Disney are just going to kibosh this. So I still remember the day before Christmas Eve going into the cinema and the fucking joy on my face when it was confirmed, because I avoided spoilers. I didn't go on the fucking internet for a day and a half. I mean, I literally, I'm not going on the internet. And that was really difficult for me. I refused because I just didn't want to hear it. So when it actually, and 2/3 of the way through the movie, and I'm like, nah, this was bullshit. It was one of those bullshit Doomcock rumors. And then when he does that, and you just see Andrew Garfield, I cheered. My wife's like, "Shut up!" I said, "I don't care. I don't care. I'm embarrassing you. This is fucking awesome." But
I did like the way where he's like kind of, "I'm Spider-Man, prove it," and he jumps up and holds onto the ceiling. He's like, "Will that do for you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm not too sure." And then his mum asks him to clear a cobweb out. And he's like, "All right, fair enough. I'll clear the cobweb out."
I love that. I love that film. I mean, I still love Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. He's a bit dated now, but I still love it as a movie because I think it's one of the best. As I said, it had one of the best comic book bad guys in it, and to this day, I still like it. I do not like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. It's an utter mess. I do like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I like. Again, though, I understand why you didn't like him as Peter Parker. I kind of didn't mind him as much as you do, but I get why you didn't. But now we need Tom Holland as Spider-Man, not kiddie, high school Spider-Man.
Iron Boy.
Yeah, Spider-Boy. He needs to now be Spider-Man. And I hope they do that. I hope they do that properly. Yeah. That's what I need to see next.
Because the other part of me is thinking you could put Miles Morales in with Venom. That would work. There's opportunity there.
Yeah,
Venom, I mean, if you want, you can put Andrew Garfield against Venom if you really want, because they never fought each other. There's opportunity there if they really want to.
I found it interesting that the cartoon included the live-action version of the Venom universe with the shopkeeper lady there. That was, okay, we didn't get a Venom cameo, we got that, which obviously, okay, it could have just been an Easter egg, but is it more telling? Is it more telling that we got, what's his face from Donald Glover's version of the Prowler in there? Is that telling? Because Miles Morales exists in the MCU, right?
Yeah.
They've already established that. They did that in the first Tom Holland movie. So it wouldn't surprise me if they bring Miles in. They cast Donald Glover for a reason. I mean, he's not exactly like a bit part cameo kind of actor by the time he was there. So I don't know. We could see that. I want them to do a Miles Morales movie. I do. I want them to do a live action movie. I think the character deserves it. I understand what you're saying about being his own superhero in his own right, but I want to see a Miles Morales movie. I do. And I think Donald Glover as the Prowler was pretty damn good casting. Because he can play that sinister side as well as the loving uncle side, which the Prowler was. The Prowler was a bit of a bastard, but also a good uncle. What do you think?
I think, as I said, you can pop him in the Venomverse if you really want. If you want to add a Spider-Man in there, you've got the opportunity to put him in there. You've got the opportunity to put Andrew Garfield in there, and hell, if you want to put Tobey Maguire in there, I would. I seriously would. I would have it so it was a third act thing. So Venom and it goes to New York, and you're like, to have everyone go, I'm sure Spider-Man should turn up. I'm sure Spider-Man should turn up, and then that last third act, it's Venom versus Spider-Man. How people would freak out about that. It would be good. So yeah, you got that there. It's yeah,
Sony are definitely playing with
yeah.
the Spider-Man universe. They are definitely playing with it. How they got some of the, I mean, how they got Holland in that movie, I don't know. But maybe, with that being kind of MCU, Disney, Sony conjunct. But look, they're definitely playing with it. So who knows? I mean, we're meant to be getting a third Venom movie. We are meant to be getting it. So hopefully we will. Yeah, time will tell about the game, but the game is out October, what was it, 20th,
23rd.
23rd, right?
23rd?
So, yeah, something like that. It's available for pre-order. So,
yes. Along with the Expanse game.
Sorry?
There's the Telltale Expanse game.
Is that coming?
Yes.
Is it the original cast?
It goes around drama, so you may have the original cast in there, but definitely got drama in there. So we'll find out when we get it. I'm interested because I like the Expanse. I want to see if the guys who wrote a TV show had actually put some bits in there. I was playing Borderlands 3, and there's a reference to the Expanse in there. There's a gun called the Nagata. So yeah, I imagine I'll find a Burton in there and a Holden and what do you call it? Why the hell did anyone let this guy get away with it, Jobby? So yeah, that's what we got to look forward to game-wise. But when it comes to Spider-Man, I would like to see them put Spider-Man in the Venom film, because you saying the third one was the last Venom film. Put bloody Spider-Man in there. Put
Garfield.
What's his mission there? Garfield in there. Have Garfield in there. There's nothing wrong about doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that could have been the thing, that it's Garfield's universe. So that would be cool. But yeah, no, I'm up for that. So next week, obviously, is the Flash out next week in the UK? Because it is here.
Wednesday. I don't know if I'm going to see it, but definitely out Wednesday. A friend of mine wants to go and watch Transformers. I might twist his arm.
No, I've heard it's really shit. I've heard
that it's just okay. That it's not as shit as everyone's making it out to be. So
okay.
I don't know about that one, but definitely want to watch the Flash because we spoke a lot about it, and I need to see it if it's any good or bad or anything in between. It's yeah.
So we've got the Flash next week, right? And then I think we're going to have to fit in a game of factoids, because the following week it's Indiana Jones. Yeah.
I'm not too sure about Indiana Jones.
No, neither am I.
Yes.
Neither am I at all. But I am looking forward to the Flash, because I'm secretly hearing good things. And it's predominantly because it's not a Flash movie; it's a Batman movie. And it's
that's what I've heard.
Batman movie.
It's like, if you can avoid watching the first hour of the film, do it. So if you want to spend the first hour in the toilet and then come back out, so you can watch Batman.
I'm kind of looking forward to this, because if it is what I think it is, it's DC's Spider-Man 3 with Keaton as Batman, and Ben Affleck's Batman actually being a good Batman. I'm kind of up for it. I think this is Batman point. They're calling it Flashpoint, but I think this is Batman point, and I'm up for that. So I am looking forward to that. I hope it is what I'm hearing it is, and if it is, again, that'll put a smile on my face, because if it isn't Spider-Man for me, it was Batman. What were the two comics I collected? Spider-Man and Batman. So, yeah. So this is my, this is why I'm slightly excited about it. So yeah, I think we should wrap this shit up and put a bow on it. I mean, should we allow How to Be a Stupid Gamer? He's been such a good boy this week. I mean, not one comment that's managed to. Yeah.
There seems to be connectivity issues, not just Keith. YouTube dropped in and out real quick too. Could be routing issues. It's stable now. Yeah, that could be. It's like quite a sensible one from him. I'm not sure. I need to check if he's got temperature. If he's feeling okay. So yeah, so we've got Cove Action, who's got a video up tonight at 10:15. Another England travel vlog thing on his channel, Cove Action Droneography, or just Cove Action. Got that there. We've got Steve. Say hello, Steve. Where is he, Steve? Hello, Steve. And we've got Bilfer. Hello, Bilfer. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, I'm not sure tonight if I join you guys for Among Us. If I can, I will. If I can't, then I won't. But if you want to have some fun, you can watch Be a Stupid Gamer on tonight. And he's playing Among Us, and they're doing the hide and seek, which is fun because I was playing with them last time, and it sounded like he was having an orgasm when I was chasing him around. It's very funny. So we've got that there. Thanks for watching, and apparently it's afternoon tea at the Savoy in this video for Cove Action. I don't know, how many poos did you get last week?
No, too many.
You've got a load of poos. Good. Going through the videos and just commenting poo. That's what you could do. Hey, Be a Stupid Gamer. Find Keith's YouTube channel. Find his videos and just write poo in the comments for me, which is fun. And on that note, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.